Exposed. Mark Carney crumbles as harsh reality leaves CBC hosts speechless. Mark Carney's journey to the prime ministership following the snap federal election on April 28, 2025, was marked by a narrative of hope and promise. With a reputation as a seasoned economic expert, many Canadians had high expectations. They believed Carney would bring fiscal responsibility and a stronger leadership style to a country grappling with financial uncertainty. However, the reality that has unfolded since his ascent to power has starkly contrasted the vision he projected during his campaign, leaving citizens questioning his ability to govern effectively. The spending surge has emerged as a significant concern for Carney's administration. Despite his pledges to rein in government spending while simultaneously investing in critical areas, expenditures have skyrocketed. The financial management of his government has not only exceeded the levels set by his predecessor, Justin Trudeau, but it has also raised alarms among economists and fiscal watchdogs. The Parliamentary Budget Officer has issued warnings that the federal deficit may swell to levels greater than those experienced under previous governments. This situation fosters widespread concerns about potential tax hikes and the long-term economic strain that could ensue from such fiscal mismanagement, which many fear could lead to a financial crisis. The breakdown in fiscal discipline can be traced to various factors, including a bloated bureaucracy, exorbitant consulting fees, and rising operational costs. Critics argue that these elements undermine the very foundations of effective governance. As government programs expand without stringent oversight, questions arise regarding accountability and efficiency. The public's trust erodes when citizens perceive their government as perpetually overspending without tangible benefits. Citizens are left wondering where their tax dollars are going, as the gap between government spending and the delivery of services continues to widen. Compounding these issues is Carney's shocking admission regarding border security. For years, officials had downplayed the severity of issues related to border control, but rising incidents of gun violence and fentanyl trafficking illuminated deep-seated flaws in the system. Carney's commitment to enhancing border enforcement through the recruitment of new agents and advanced surveillance technologies was a necessary response. However, critics assert that these measures are long overdue and raise the question of why these vulnerabilities were ignored for so long. This lack of preemptive action has raised serious concerns about the government's capacity to address critical issues effectively before they escalate into crises, leading to a growing skepticism about Carney's leadership. The controversy surrounding Carney's appointments further complicates his tenure. The situation with his public safety minister, who was forced to step aside after it was revealed that he had previously supported immigration cases linked to banned terrorist organizations, exemplifies troubling judgment calls made within Carney's administration. Despite the scandal, Carney expressed unwavering confidence in the minister, leading many to question his tolerance for incompetence and poor decision-making. This incident is not isolated. It reflects a broader pattern of protecting insiders until scandals become public knowledge. Such actions undermine accountability and lead to a deterioration of public trust, fostering an environment of cynicism and disengagement from the political process. On the trade front, Carney initially promised to eliminate tariffs and secure better trade agreements. However, his recent decisions to impose tariffs and import quotas on steel from countries without free trade agreements have raised eyebrows. These protectionist measures contradict the government's stated goals of fostering economic growth and promoting an open market. Experts warn that such policies could lead to higher costs for consumers and manufacturers, ultimately undermining Canada's competitive edge in the global marketplace. The shift toward protectionism raises critical questions about Carney's commitment to free trade principles as Canadian pension funds increasingly shift their capital to international markets, signaling waning confidence in the domestic economy. Rising inflation remains a significant concern under Carney's leadership. Although headline inflation rates may appear moderate, partly due to the recent elimination of the carbon tax, core inflation continues to exceed targets. This persistent rise in core inflation directly impacts Canadian families who grapple with increasing costs for essential goods, housing, and groceries. Analysts have linked inflation partly to the government's expanded spending and lack of effective fiscal control. Families find their purchasing power diminished as their everyday expenses rise, leading to an erosion of living standards. The situation is exacerbated by Carney's failure to implement sound fiscal policies, which are essential to stabilize the economy. The call for fiscal discipline has not gone unnoticed by critics. Budgets have swelled without clear accountability measures, leading to inefficiencies and inflationary pressures. Many advocate for a dollar-for-dollar spending rule, which would require any new expenditure to be balanced by cuts in other areas. Such a measure is seen as essential to stabilize the economy, lower interest rates, and restore Canadians' purchasing power. As the political opposition intensifies, particularly from Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre, Carney faces mounting pressure to address concerns about expanding bureaucracy, ballooning deficits, and broken promises. These critiques resonate with voters worried about inflation and the transparency of government operations. Carney's leadership style has come under scrutiny, characterized as reactive rather than proactive. The government often appears to respond only after scandals or investigations come to light, undermining public confidence in its ability to govern effectively. This pattern raises serious questions about governance and the decision-making processes within the administration. While Carney maintains that his government is committed to supporting workers and industries, skepticism lingers regarding whether these initiatives will be sufficient to reverse current economic uncertainties. The path forward for Carney is fraught with challenges. The coming months will be critical for him to regain the trust of Canadians and stabilize the economy. He must demonstrate a commitment to fiscal discipline, provide policy certainty, and create an environment conducive to investment. The challenges are significant. Inflation remains high, government spending continues to rise unchecked, and foreign investment is fleeing the Canadian market. Navigating these complexities will require tough, principled decisions that prioritize long-term economic health over short-term political expediency. As Carney's government stands at a crossroads, the choices made in the coming months will have lasting repercussions. The decision to continue with unchecked spending and creeping protectionism, or to embrace a path of responsible governance, will shape the future of Canada. Recent developments have left observers in disbelief, underscoring the urgent need for meaningful change. The road ahead is fraught with challenges, but it also holds the potential for a renewed vision for Canada, one that prioritizes the economic well-being of its citizens while restoring faith in government institutions. In conclusion, the unfolding story of Mark Carney's leadership is a cautionary tale of how high expectations can quickly turn into disillusionment when reality sets in. The pressing need for effective governance, fiscal responsibility, and public accountability has never been more critical. As Canadians watch closely, the hope remains that Carney can rise to the occasion and steer the nation back on a path of prosperity and trust.